Hey guys, this is Dr. Morse. We're gonna talk about week one wide receivers here on this section of my podcast and YouTube. We, as far as week one is ramping up, coming quickly. We're about 5-6 days out. I've analyzed each of the matchups. I've analyzed who has the potential to do what damage to which team. Who's passing major offenses, who's deep, bad defenses to go up against, and we'll kind of go from there. Use a lot of different resources, and here's some of the picks I've come up with. I'm releasing each part, wide receivers, tight ends, defenses, running backs, and quarterbacks is in a different section, so you can kind of click on it if you need to, rewind and jot down who you like, fit them into your lineups, whether it's for DFS or for season long. These are the guys that I would favor over whoever else you had. Obviously, there's certain guys you're going to start and certain guys that are still sleepers and probably not the best start for week one. But, let's get started and we'll go from there. All right, so week one, top wide receiver, Antonio Brown, 8,600, playing Cleveland. So obviously he's a beast. He's the number one wide receiver for a reason. I do not like this matchup actually for the Steelers. Even though they probably are going to win it, I think it's going to be closer than people think. Last year, he actually played them exactly the same as week one in Cleveland in 2017. Went 11 for 182 yards. Very, very good game. We don't know if Bell's going to be there. He's dealing with a quad injury, though. So if he re-injures his quad, he could be out a couple weeks. So supposedly he's good to go. But I don't know. We'll see. Quads are a little different than hams. Hams are a lot easier to injure, in my opinion. Quads should be okay. My number two is Michael Thomas. They're playing Tampa at home. He's 7,800 on DraftKings. This is Brees' kind of blanket. I think he's due for a very solid game. He didn't have the best game versus them last year at home. 8 catches for 65 yards. But I think the connection is back since Ingram is out. And I think they'll use Kamara as kind of a offset, more so as opposed to just primary. He's likely going to end up on a couple of my teams. I may even do a Brees Thomas stack. So Keenan Allen versus Kansas City at 7,500. This is a tough matchup for Kansas City's defense. I expect Chargers have a very good game. Even though he's 7,500, he's healthy. He's a target monster. Last year he went 5 for 61, but I think he has a better chance to do even better this year. And look for Rivers to find Allen a bunch of times in week one. AJ Green going against Indianapolis at 7,300. I think he roasts them. He is a sneaky, underrated, kind of reliable wide receiver one, and he may be a great stack with Red Rocket and potentially even Ross or Mixon or even Eifert for that matter in week one. Larry Fitzgerald for the Arizona Cardinals. Good old reliable. They're facing Washington. He's 6,600. I expect Bradford to use him reliably. Him and DJ will be the focal point of this offense, I assume. And I think he will easily make his value. Even if he only goes 5 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, that should be a very solid day. Stefon Diggs versus San Fran at 6,300. Some people are calling him the second coming of Antonio Brown. While that's a big statement, Stefon definitely has the talent to do so. The kid looks fantastic. He can make catches that most people cannot make, fighting receivers over the top and up the sideline. The kid's super talented. I think is going to be a little challenging to see who Cousins favors in week one. Will it be him? Will it be Thielen? Will it be hand off to Cooks? Is it going to be Rudolph? We don't really know how it's going to play out, but I think Diggs has tremendous upside at 6,300 here. Chris Hogan for the Patriots going against Houston at home at 6,100. I think this is the only wide receiver Brady trusts, at least initially. and between him, Gronkowski, White, and Burkhead, they're going to be the focal point of this offense until Edelman comes back and Michelle is ready. So rock and roll. I think he's a great wide receiver too. He's going to get a ton of looks. He'll probably sneak in the end zone. He'll probably get 6 to 10 catches, somewhere around there, I think is reasonable. Jarvis Landry for the Browns, going against Pittsburgh at 5,500. I think this will be Tyrod's go-to receiver, as he's a target monster and easily caught 112 passes last year from combination of Cutler and Moore. So I mean, I think this is a no-brainer for them. He's got a ton of options around him. Tyrod does, so this could be a interesting, sneaky at 5,500. Even if he only catches 5 or 6 passes for 50, 60, 70 yards, I think he'll easily make his price. But I think he'll do better than that, and he will be likely the focal point of the offense. With Gordon kind of stretching the field, Duke coming out of the backfield, catching the ball, and Hyde also running. So they have some options there in Cleveland, some light. Let's see, Emmanuel Sanders at 5,000 facing Seattle. I think he showed a good rapport with the quarterback. I can't think of his name right now. In the preseason, I think he becomes the number 1. I'm fading Demaryius Thomas this year, and I'll talk about him in a little bit. Kenny Stills versus the Titans at 4,700. I think this will be Tannehill and Gase's number 1 wide receiver this year. Parker is banged up. They don't have Landry anymore. I think between him and Gesicki and the running backs, I think this will kind of be the way that they run their offense. He's got a potential to have a very solid day, even though I don't like them in this matchup, and I think Titans win this pretty handily. As far as Marquise Goodwin, they're playing Minnesota, which is a tough matchup, but overall, Goodwin is very talented. I think he's the wide receiver to own in San Francisco. He will lead in targets and hopefully pay off for you at 4,600. Now, Danny Amendola versus the Titans, I think will be also very effective. He's going to be a nice slot wide receiver, very reliable hands. And since if Parker does play, I don't think he'll be very effective because of that finger. So I think Amendola is going to get a lot of looks and moving the chains that way. As far as John Ross at Indianapolis, 3,900. Kind of a beautiful flex play or wide receiver, 2 or 3. It looks like a big play waiting to happen. The Red Rocket can find him on a go route for a 70-yard touchdown, and you easily triple or quadruple your value right there. Keelan Cole, the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing the New York Giants at 3,800. He could be Bortles' number 1 wide receiver, even though the offense goes through Fournette. I think this will be a logical guy. He did quite well last year. Marquise Lee's out with the knee injury for the year. We could have Moncrief. We could have D.D. Westbrook. But I think Keelan Cole will be the guy there. Philip Dorsett is another option for the Patriots and for Tom Brady. Apparently, he made a fantastic catch a couple weeks ago that Brady put in his hands on a very important 4th down, which usually instills confidence, and look for him to probably get some more looks. He's 3,700. Cole Beasley at Carolina for 3,600. He could be Dak Prescott's new toy. Between him and Gallup, I think are going to be the options. I mean, you could have Hearns in there, we'll see, but I think Beasley is his go-to, kind of a sneaky, kind of reminds me of Welker from back in the day. And I think between a slot possession guy, even if he catches 5, 6, 7 balls, that's a very good solid day for a slot wide receiver, especially in a flex spot. And then Jaron Brown, who I'm trying to avoid the wide receivers, at least for week 1 in Seattle. I think this is a good option because he's only 3,300. Russell's going to have to throw to somebody, and the problem is they have Baldwin, Lockett, and him. Their tight ends are banged up, so this is an option between him and Carson as well. So I think it's kind of a shot in the dark. If you're looking for someone in this range, this would be a guy I would consider looking at. Okay, so who am I fading? So I'm fading Nuke, who's in my opinion more better on the road, or better at home than on the road, and I think the Patriots will. He'll get some yards, but I don't think he's going to go bananas like he has the potential to do. I am fading OBJ, as I think A, I'm concerned about his ankle, and B, I'm concerned that Ramsey is going to lock him down for as much as he runs his mouth, and he will have limited success in week 1. I am avoiding Thielen because I don't know who Cousins is going to target, and I wouldn't logically start both Diggs and Thielen, at least not in week 1. I am waiting for Andrew Luck to prove that he can throw the deep ball before I start considering, T.Y. Hilton. He's really a boomer bust. I think he only had 4 playable weeks in 2017. So until he's more stable, I want nothing to do with T.Y. Hilton. Mike Evans, I like him this year, but I just think Marcus Lattimore and the offense is going to get shut down by the New Orleans Saints defense, and I don't know what to make of the QB situation initially to start with for the Bucs. As far as Tyreek Hill versus the impressive Chargers secondary, I think he could potentially break 1 or 2 free. I think he'll be a focal point, but I have more faith in the Chargers secondary than I do in Mahomes, the rookie, to start. But I do like him this year a lot. The Broncos secondary is very solid, so I am avoiding Doug Baldwin this week, even though he might end up having a decent day. I like Juju, but better options this week in my opinion. I am going to fade Demaryius Thomas because I think his best days are behind him, and rookie Sutton is making some highlight reel catches, and I think he's a stud. He could break out as soon as the next couple of weeks. Not touching Josh Gordon with a 10-foot pole. I don't want anything to do with him, especially at his price. I think he is athletically gifted, there's no question, but I think he's an accident or a breakdown waiting to happen, and I want nothing to do with him, but I wish him the best of luck. And he's already injured. As far as Titans, Corey Davis, I do like him this year, but I need him to show me that he's healthy and that hamstring's okay, and how his connection with Mariota is before I start him. Crabtree, I don't want nothing to do with the Baltimore passing offense. And Chris Godwin, more of the same with the Bucs offense. So that'll do it for week 1 wide receiver sit or start with a DFS focus. Do me a favor, leave me a review on if you're listening on from my podcast. Leave me some comments below about who you think is a good start or why I'm an idiot, and tune in until next week. I also check out some of the other player positions for DFS, and then leave me a review after you're done and tell me whether or not you won or if you didn't win. I'll be using these, so I'll let you know if it panned out for me. If you are looking for more injury review stuff than this, I have plenty of stuff to offer, and the Fantasy Doctors is also available. Check out that podcast and our website at thefantasydoctors.com, and the Fantasy Dose, which is a fantastic analytics. I would suggest combining this with the analytics and see how well you can do and make some money, as opposed to just giving it away. All right, take care. We'll see you soon.